It's a paper moon. And what I mean by that, look at this postcard. It's a studio prop of a half moon, paper moon. I always pick these up if they're for the right price, but I will pay up on these because look at the price they get. $273, $72.77. Welcome back to SM Postcards. Today we're going to go through this stuff right down here. On every video you can see an introduction of the 4 things I usually do on the Monday longer videos. Sold 11 cards, a couple things from Ko-Fi I'm going to show you, and I sold another lunchbox, the metal vintage lunch boxes I have on hand. Then we're going to go to a deep dive, New York postcards. There is a ton of those. It's like California. Some people think, you know, I got New York postcards. Well, just take a look when I show you the sell-through rate and the pricing and how many are out there. And it's something that you're paying really big money for, you might not want. So we'll get into the deep dive, a little history on New York, the postcards, sell-through rate, and pricing, and my opinion on New York postcards. Some are good, the older ones and stuff, but we'll get into it. And then a poll that I put out every Saturday. This one was, which type of postcard sells best for you? Now this poll can be a little skewed because if you're like me and do divided back to crumb, you're going to sell more of those. But I wanted to see what people are selling out there and just put in their mind, in my mind, what else is there for 2025. Real quick poll, nothing special. I put it maybe a couple times a year just to test the water and see where everybody's at and if I'm still on track. Then I got 4 viewer comments. One of the comments is, eBay's taking things down. I got stuff in my boxes that's not listed anymore. Has this happened to you? We'll talk about that. But let's go and get going on what's sold. On this poll of cards, sold 11 cards. I want to do 16, but I only did 11. This was a pretty neat one. This is Georgia Trumpeter Governor's House Guards. Kind of like a print. That's the horse and the trumpeter. When I saw the little thumbnail when it sold, I don't remember it. It's just got a plain postcard back. And it was a neat card. $4.75. Next one sold for $7. This guy come in, I was standing at my desk and I got a message, and I don't answer a lot of messages about offers or anything like that. But this person said, hey, I missed your offer. Because he goes, I missed your offer because you're an idiot. I'm an idiot. Not I'm an idiot, but I'm an idiot. He missed it. And so it was able to give me a send offer, so I sent him an offer for $7 on this photo of the USS Johnston, BB-021. So this is a photo, and it's a smaller one. It doesn't have too much of a curl on it, but he ended up buying it just like that. So sometimes that stuff works out. I think the original offer was $7.40 or something. I just put $7 in there. I got less than a nickel in these things, and he was nice enough to fall on the sword. Next one is Lost River Canyon, Hellertown, Pennsylvania. This is the Crystal Village caves. They don't move fast, but there. Linen card. Not a lot of color. Caves don't have color. $4.75. Crumb card of Colonial Motel, Hyde Park, New York. We're talking about New York today. It's a crumb card posted in 1963. It's right there. $4.75. This is a picture of Prince Galson State Park in Cambria County, Pennsylvania. Aerial view card. Nice looking card. Not posted or anything. Crumb card. $4.75. Now this is a Main Street, and this is Dodge City, Kansas. Now the reason I didn't price it up probably is Dodge City has a lot of cards out there and it probably didn't comp out well. But that's a nice older card, some signs and stuff like that, and that sold for $4.75, unposted crumb card. Next one is one of those non-pressed paper type things, not really a linen, not really, I put it as I think divided back because of the 1-cent stamp on the back. Rapids on Hudson, Corneth, New York. Another New York card. Just some water. Rapids. $4.75. I sold some Texas Longhorns. Cows. Look at those beauties. Texas Longhorns. That's what the title was. And I think that's all I put. Postcard Texas Longhorns. Maybe put San Antonio, some El Paso, Texas. But I sold some cows, $4.75. This naval ship USS John King DDG 3 is a publisher card that they bought, the club chrome card. I probably have 100 or so of those left, maybe more, and that sold for $4.75. This is one of those prints, lighter cardstock, Richard Krause DD 849. It was from a U.S. Navy photo, and I do have the negatives for all those. And that sold for $4.75. And these are 6x4, so they still fit in to these envelopes, but they go into a continental sleeve, and I put them in there. And the last one, I call these romance cards. I don't know the exact term of them, but I just call them romance cards, and I just know they don't sell for a lot. They're like tinted cards, older. I can't tell when this was posted. She says, my wife won't let me. He wants to go sit with this lady, but she won't let him. So it's kind of like romance cards. They usually have a border, a little darker theme on there and stuff. $4.75. I pass those up a lot. Those romance cards and stuff. Lover's Leap and stuff like that. Some of them are okay, but I haven't been too lucky with them. 11 cards sold. Total $52.59. Still money coming in. I haven't had 0 days. And if you take $52.59 and divide it by 11, my sell-through rate was only $4.78. But if you notice, I sold what I have in my boxes. A lot of $4.75, $5 to $8 cards. So I'm not perturbed by a $4.78 average sell price, because that's what I have most of. And they moved. Now I did sell a lunchbox for $32. And this is Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Double R Bar Ranch with a dog. I've sold it. I got a couple of these, I think. I've sold one. And this is the front of this one. And now the back is pretty rust, surface rust. But they're probably buying it for this. And so that sold for $32. That's not counting shipping. That'll go in a 10-8 box, 8-6 box. I don't put any bubble wrap on or anything. I just put paper around it because it's metal. Nothing's going to happen to it. It never has in there. Then I sold a starter kit. Now, in the Ko-Fi store, I have a lot of different things for postcards, and I have things that people have sent me messages about, trying to explain things. I know when I started postcards, what's a white border? People have a lot of questions. So what I did is I went through and I find 7 different postcards from each era. Continental, chrome, linen, white border, divided back, and undivided back, and real photo. And I put them in a little kit. And I just put them in a box, 7 postcards, with a description what it is, name of what it is, and the description. And I put that in there. And I also throw one of these little loop things. These things that you can actually read. I'm going to blind you here. You can read our real photo postcards with. So one of those in there. So I have to give it something physical in there. But this person bought a starter kit, and they're out there. Here's the picture of it. It's real easy. It helps a lot of people. And then you can turn around and sell the 7 postcards. If you sell them for $5 a piece, it's $35. I think this is maybe $17, $15 of, under $20. I don't know. I forgot what it is. But you could sell the postcards when they sell to get your money back. So that they bought one of those. For the Ko-Fi was $11.25 because they were a member. If you're a member of Ko-Fi, you get 40% off. So a total of the postcards, $52.59, lunchbox, $32, Ko-Fi, $11.25, come up for a day of sales, $95.84. So I was over my $80. I was under my $16 for postcards. My ASP kind of okay. It kind of was expected. And I'm still being very picky. I just was on another auction and I spent about $400, but I was very particular what I was buying because I know I can price the cards up and they'll be shipped to me. So I got to make sure when I get those, I separate them in a separate box, and I put a note on there that get shipping is all it says, because I have to add the extra $1 or whatever. So if shipping's $30 and I find 3 cards I can add an extra $1 to, or 30 cards, just 50 cents, $1 per card, that'll pay for the shipping on that. That's what's sold. Now let's get into New York Postcards. I did a couple of jobs in New York City. I will never drive down there. I don't care for the concrete jungle, whatever. It's just different. They sent me downtown on a subway. I forgot. It's been a long time, but I had a big piece of a power supply that I repaired, and I had to bring it out there, one of our older systems, and I was one of the only guys that knew how to work on it, and I was out on the East Coast, and they said, hey, you need to go out there, and it's a big customer. So they put me on a train. Sitting next to me was this big box. I dragged it with my cart around, went to this big high-rise, went in, replaced it, pulled the old part out, and did that. And they had me do it one more time later on, and after that I said, don't send me down there. But it's a job. You got to go where the boss tells you. But it is a neat place. My wife and daughter went there, and they spent 3 days going back and forth. One of our friends lived there, but it's different. A lot of people, they said. So it's a little different to where we live here. We have 32,000 people in the area here. So there, I think a square block has 32,000 people. But I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the history of New York. And while I do that, I'm going to show you some New York postcards. And don't worry, there's a lot more out there, not just the ones I show you. Here we go. New York City began as a small Dutch settlement called New Amsterdam in the early 1600s. It was located on the southern tip of Manhattan Island and was established as a trading post for fur. In 1664, the British took over and renamed it New York, in honor of the Duke of York. The city started to grow rapidly, becoming an important port and bustling center of commerce. During the 19th century, New York City saw a massive influx of immigrants arriving through Ellis Island. I have an Ellis Island postcard topic coming up, a video on Ellis Island. I want to learn a little bit more about those. I see a lot of them, but they're about the same. But I want to dig into those, so I put that on the list for next year. The new arrivals came from all over the world, bringing diverse cultures and traditions that helped shape the city's character. Skyscrapers began to rise, and landmarks like Central Park were developed, making New York City a symbol of monetary and opportunity. Central Park is really neat. I've read a lot of articles about how they laid it out and the fields and stuff. It's a pretty good read about that. Interesting. In the 20th century, New York City became known as a global hub for finance, arts, and culture. It was home to the iconic Statue of Liberty, which welcomed millions of immigrants and became famous for landmarks like Times Square and Broadway. Today, New York City is one of the most influential and exciting cities in the world, known for its vibrant culture, towering skyscrapers, and diverse population. New York City postcards capture the city's iconic landmarks in vibrant energy and vivid detail, featuring famous sites like Statue of Liberty, Times Square, and the Empire State Building. I did a video about Empire State Building. These postcards offer a snapshot of bustling metropolis. They often highlight the city's diverse neighborhoods, famous skyline, and cultural landmarks, making them a popular way to share the essence of New York with friends and family. Each postcard provides a little piece of the city's unique character and excitement. I got 3 facts here. I got in New York. The secret underground park. Beneath New York City streets, there's an abandoned subway station known as the City Hall Station. It was a beautiful, ornate station that was closed to the public in 1945. It's rumored to be occasionally visited by subway workers and has become a fascinating piece of New York's hidden history. I have to look that up. Second fact, Naked Cowboy. Times Square has a unique street performer known as the Naked Cowboy. Despite his name, he wears only a cowboy hat and boots and briefs, underwear, while strumming his guitar. His unusual attire and constant presence have made him a quirky and well-known character in the city's bustling heart. Then the last fact, the unofficial Pigeon Day. New York City has an unofficial Pigeon Day, celebrated by locals who bring out bags of popcorn and other bird-friendly snacks to feed the city's numerous pigeons. This particular event, which isn't officially recognized, showcases the city's quirky relationship with its feathered residents. If it's like Chicago, the main thing we wanted to do when we walk down the city is keep those things on the ground, because they're flying poop bags. I've gotten hit a few times by equipment or me when birds fly over. If you stand there long enough and there's birds above you, you're going to get some white stuff on you. So we always tried to make sure we didn't scare them or let them walk away so we don't get them flying over us. Sometimes we forget and we get a few drops here and there. But they're all over the city. the cities, just part of it. So that's New York. A little history about it. Probably a lot. There's a lot more history now, but I just pared it down to get your curiosity up. But does New York City postcards sell? I use this little chart here. If I run the sell-through rate sold divided by listed times 100 and it comes out 0 to 3%, it's low. I try not to pick those up. I work in the 4 to 10%, average to high. They have a probability. This is a probability chart, just like the weather. They have a probability to sell faster, the high over the average, average over low. And while I'm looking for those 4 to 10% ones, what I have in mostly my boxes, I find the very high ones. And those are the ones that move. Wiki Watching Mermaid, different things like that that sell a little faster. But it's a probability chart, and it helps me. It's data. It's just not me saying, oh, this is a cool card, I think it'll sell, then it sits in the boxes. Or there's 10,000 of them out there. This is what this little chart does for me. So we're going to go through here, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So I just go into eBay. On the search page, I don't go into Terapeak, I just hit eBay, make it. I just want to make it simple. You don't want to make this hard. And I type in postcard New York in the search. There's 30,000 New York postcards sold in 90 days. The reason? Denominator, 720,000 postcards, 750,000 postcards for New York are listed. It is saturated. How do you get your cards over all these other ones? It can be price, it's your reputation, and what services you sell, you know, how fast they can get it and stuff like that, or people know you. It's a lot of that. Probably a lot of these are the same card, but then there's so many of them out there. It's like California. Well, you take the 30,000 divided by 720,000, and you times it by 100, and you round up or down, and you come up with a solid percent. 4% sell-through rate. And if you look at the chart, that's right on the end of average. So at 4 to 7%, it's an average card. I'm not going to pay a lot for New York postcards. If I see a box and it's half full of New York and they want $100 for it, I'm going to offer 40 or 30 because they're going to sit. There might be a few good ones in there and stuff that'll sell faster, but what the data here says in 90 days, even with 30,000 sold, and there's still, how many are listed, still only a 4% sell-through rate. It's a saturated part of the postcards. But then you want to bump it up against to make sure that 4% is true. So Postcard Los Angeles, 4%. That falls right with New York. Philadelphia, Postcard Philadelphia, 3%. Still right there. Then we got New York, 4%. Then Postcard Dallas, another big city, 6%. So I would say the average 4 to 7% for New York is right in the ballpark. I didn't screw anything up, and it trues out to be an average card. So I know sell-through rate's done. It's an average card. I'm not going to pay top dollar for a New York postcard. I don't care what it is, Empire State Building or whatever. Now you got some iconic real photo postcards, artists. Those is a different niche. Those sell themselves. You can throw sell-through rate out the window on some of those because they're just going to sell themselves. But the average cards that I do every day, it's 4%. Then you get into pricing. I picked out 8 postcards from high to low on here to go through. Remember, this is kind of the top watermark on a lot of these and stuff like that. But I just wanted to do a flow to show you the range of prices you can have. Now the first one here, I've talked about this before. It's a paper moon. And what I mean by that, look at this postcard. It's a studio prop of a half moon, paper moon. I always pick these up if they're for the right price, but I will pay up on these because look at the price they get. $273, $72.77. These things are amazing. They will sell. You got to put paper moon in there, and they're usually real photo postcards with the studio props. So when I see paper moons, I pick them up, and I will go a little higher on these for sure. And that one sold for $273. So paper moons, any studio props you want to take a real good look at. And sometimes they say what, like a lot of them with the car is Chicago and different things, Spokane, Washington and stuff like that. I've seen different studios, but I try to pick these up if I can. They're easy to list. Paper moon, you know they're going to be $150 to $200 to start with, and later on you can move them down. Not all of them will sell for that, but a majority of them do. Then you got the Real Photo Aviation Pioneer Beckwith Haven City Fair, Middletown, New York. Tells a story. Real Photo Postcard. $204. These are those outliers that I just talked about that sell themselves. The Paper Moon, this Aviation Pioneer, Havens Fair. Stuff like that is kind of, those are special folder things. Those are things I do research on and figure out. And these are the higher end ones. I don't look at the $15,000, $2,000 ones or whatever, the one-time things. This is the high watermark of kind of above the average. Then we get into a $99 one that they took a best offer on, maybe $80. Early Park Theater, South Chrome Park, Queens, New York. I think there's different districts like Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan. I think they're called districts or areas over there. Queens is one of them. New York City Dentist. It's a dentist postcard. Probably took $80 for it. Dentist. I would have spelled that out a little bit more if I could in there in dentist, but that's still a pretty good card. Then the Postcard Savage Arms Company. Maybe there's some history with Savage Arms. Utica, New York, lightly creased down middle. Now, stuff like that, I put in the condition statement and description. I don't put it in the title. To me, I just want people to get in and click. I don't want them to stop at not click on my card. I want them to get in there and see the bigger pictures of it. So stuff, I don't put that type of stuff, damage and all this other stuff, in the title. The title is to get them to your card. Once they're in there, you want them to convert. Once they click, you get a view and the impression, and then they click, and then you want them to convert to a sale. And if you get them in there, they get a little bit deeper, they're already there. But if you put it in the title, they might just go on by. Some collectors have a creased card, a damaged card in their box, and they want to better up. They're always trying to better up the card. So they might have this card, but it's more damaged than the creases. They'll buy this one and sell the other one, and just keep bettering up. That's what the collectors did in the action figure toys. They have one figure and loose arms, they got another one, then they'll sell that one, and they just keep always trying to better themselves. And the collectors know what they have. But this sold for $82.57, 5 bids in an auction. So $83 in 5 bids. There's something with Savage Arms Company. So if you get any arms company, that's in my mind now. New York Arms Company, New York Dentist, New York Real Photos, Paper Moon. Those are the little triggers. You don't have to remember everything because you won't. Mine, it kind of goes in and then a couple hours it goes out until I see it again. Hopefully I remember. Then you get into the early Hicksville, Long Island, New York Railroad Station cars, train. German postcard. $43 and 3 bids. But look at the detail on that card. You got the train with the smoke on the left, the car waiting, people waiting, another car, and the station. Everything you want in a train station postcard is right there. I'd change up that title a little bit because there's some things there that doesn't tell the subject, tell a story of the card. But $43, 3 bids. And then you got Riverside Motel, 1950s, Lewistown, New York, multi-view vintage postcard. So multi-view, it's got different views of it in there in the quarters, and that sold for probably $25. Took best offer of a motel. So some of these can do, if you did the research and throw them in there, but a lot of them out there are average for New York. Don't get caught in a rabbit hole on some of these things, the linens and stuff like that of the Statue of Liberty. There's probably nothing there. But stuff like this might be something there. Bathers in Water, Rockaway Beach. I've heard of Rockaway Beach, Queens, $10. Some beaches are really good. When I see the word beaches, it goes in special folder because there's some beaches that just knock it out of the park, but some of these are just average to mid on there. So don't get caught up with just beaches. It could be there, but it's a couple beaches on the East Coast that do very well. And I can't remember them, I forget. And then the last one is New York City RCA Building, Rockefeller Center, $7.99. This is where you start getting into the average stuff. Chrome, Rockefeller Center, the Dancers, Music City. If you get to Times Square and it's got the Coca-Cola sign, go out there and there's tons of them out there. So that's where you get into the average and the saturation. They're just not that unique as some of these other ones I just showed you. So these were kind of not the outliers, but these are the ones that you want to look for. And while you're looking for them, you're going to get a lot of average. Do they sell? Hey, it's 30,000 of them sold. But there's 720,000 postcards listed for New York. If I had a choice between going and getting New York and getting some for Illinois or Mississippi, I would probably go after the Illinois and Mississippi and leave New York alone unless you find some of these higher ones, because it's just very saturated. And no one's going to look through 5,000 pages of postcards. They got to get into your store. So if you have categories in your store of all the states, and you have New York as a state, they can click on New York and just search those, few hundred postcards you got in New York or 1,000, and not look through all your cards. It makes it easier for them. Now they can search your store by putting New York in, but most people don't. They just want to click because they're on their tablet or whatever. They don't want to type. They don't want to think on their phones. Just get them, click on New York, and they can sit there and look at the pictures. That's New York. I'm sure people have sold very good cards in New York, but do you feel it's just like me, that they're just average cards? These outliers are outliers? That's my opinion on New York. Nothing against it, but they're just 750,000 postcards listed. That's a lot. And then denominator can throw some numbers off, and we true that up with the other cities, so it is 4 to 7% average card. To me, that's what I would do. Who knew? This is a real quick poll. I don't have any comments with it. Which type of postcard sells best for you? As I said, this can be skewed, because if you ask me, I'm going to say chrome and linens, because that's mostly what I got, divided back to chrome. So I'm going to show that. Other people might have different things. But I kind of put it out there, and I think I'm going to ask this again in another poll coming up in a different way. I want to combine the two. If you ask a question a couple different ways and you get the same answers, then it's pretty well true. Not to trick anybody, but you can reword it to make sense to people, and they answer the same or a little different, and that's what polls do. So which type of postcard sells best for you? I put out there, the top one was vintage postcards pre-1945. So that's into the chrome era, but before that. So people are getting whiteboard or divided back, undivided back, and in there, and that's what they usually go for. They think the newer ones, chrome and continentals, won't sell. They do. Dr. Chris, Fossil Forward Find, does a lot of continentals. He's bought some from me and stuff, and he sells them. He's in the continentals, and they sell. Another friend of mine bought a big batch, a collection of continental cards, and he does very well with them. They don't move as fast sometimes, he said, and he doesn't get top dollar, but he's selling them consistently, where some people say they don't sell. So I think they're coming a little bit of age. Remember, things in postcard world don't move as fast as people think. They've been around for 100 years. Just because something's 100 years old doesn't mean it's worth a lot. During the golden age of postcard, there was billions of these things. Up to 1912, when they went divided back up from undivided back, there was billions made. So just because it's 100 years old doesn't mean it's worth a lot of money. There's a lot of them out there. But the second and the one was other, because people wanted to explain a little bit. But the other two can come in 7% equal. Thematic postcards, holidays, landmarks, view cards, and stuff like that is 7%, and modern postcards with unique designs is 7%. So the most of them that are selling for the people out there are the pre-1945, the vintage postcards, over 20 years old and stuff on there. So it's just a gauge. It doesn't mean a lot. It just sets that what you're thinking is right. I want to look for some older cards, and I want to mix in some newer ones like chrome motels and linens and all of that stuff, so you have a variety and quantity. That's what this tells me. What do you guys think about that? Now we're going to viewer comments. At the end of every Monday longer video, I pull comments from email or YouTube, and I just kind of give you my opinion, more ad lib and stuff. I picked out 4 here, and then 3-wheeler. So I put this here because there's a couple nuggets that 3 has in here. Thank you for a good video. Recently, a customer bought many postcards and asked about combined shipping. eBay has a maximum for combined shipping of 40. I did not know that. I've never combined 40 postcards, combined all the orders and stuff. Usually when I get the bigger orders, they bought it in one order. So I've never run into that 3. That's a new number for me. Also, if your store asks for immediate payment, the customer pays immediately and you combine shipping after the fact. I have never, for years, I think I did it in the beginning for a little while, but I don't ask for immediate payment. Never. It just changes everything. I don't expect them. If they buy it, I've got some in there that used to sit for days, weeks, and once in a while I would just go clean them out. But I'm not worried about it because people are shopping sometimes. The customer pays immediately and you combine shipping after the fact. You have extra effort or work to spread out the shipping cost over all items. Note, shipping discount refunds must be $1 or more. So if you want to refund someone on eBay and say you want to refund them 69 cents, you have to refund them $1. I've ran into that before. Or more, $1 or more. If a customer purchases 200 postcards, that equals 5 packages of 40 each. Have a great week. I've never run into this three. Maybe someone else has and stuff like that. But thanks for the numbers and a little nugget here and some specs that people might have not run into. I haven't had any real big ones, sales lately. I've had a few people ask me for combining some listings and stuff, but not too often, and I'll just combine them into a special listing. I'll just put the for OBJJO only, and I'll give them a special deal. But I haven't done. I used to do it a lot with the toys, especially I had a reseller in Thailand that would buy $1,500 every couple months for me of stuff. And what we came up to is we shipped them in the larger Walmart boxes, and I would break the orders up. So if one package got lost or got stuck in customs, the others might have made through it. And so he would buy all these figures from me because they didn't get them over there, and I'd give him a real good deal. I'd get a few $1,000s from this guy, and I'd pack them up and we'd send them out. So then I would do special listings for each one of those boxes, and I could give him a cut on shipping costs and stuff. I also did that with a person in Mexico and stuff like that. Some of these places that couldn't get the toys, and I had them. And I think Star Wars figures one time I sent over $500 of the little figures. I bought a big collection of them. I got like 10 cents a piece on them, and they just can't get them down there. And I put them in all separate boxes, and it worked out well, and he came back and bought more from me. And then I got out of toys. Thanks, 3. And then Cynthia Parker. I am brand spanking new to postcards. We all were at one time, Cynthia. And we do have answers for you if you have questions. We've been through it. Now, sometimes there's things that people get themselves into I've never seen or people have seen, but most of the time there's guidance available here on the channel, and the chat, the comments and stuff like that, or send me an email. Yeah, we can do that. She says, how do you manage scanning embossed postcards, especially heavy embossed or even cards with glitter or accessories? Example, a New Year's card with attached monthly calendar. Are you concerned about the card getting damaged as it goes through the scanner? I remember this, Cynthia, and I replied back. I said, I'm not more worried about the card as I would be worried about the $400 scanner, $300 scanner. And she didn't think of that because, she's still learning. And we all try to jam something to a printer. The heavier embossed cards that have the, it's higher relief on it, it's pushed up and stuff, those sometimes you can get them through. You just got to give them a little push, but a lot of times the heavier ones I don't even do. I'll sometimes decide to either take a picture with a camera or not do them. The metal add-ons, the calendars, I never put those through the scanner because it pushes stuff around in the scanner a little bit, and it gets stuck and it'll damage a card. It's not worth it. If you have a flatbed, it's about the only time I would recommend a flatbed scanner or a camera. You just take a picture of it because people know they're novelty ones. Sometimes a lot of these don't sell for a lot. But I was more concerned about that. Glitter can scratch the lenses and the scanners. Glass and glass will scratch. A lot of it was made with mica or harder material in that glitter, and it can put a little line on your lens there. Once that's in there, you just kind of can't get it off. I've been pretty lucky. I can pick them out, but once in a while I'll do a card and it's got glitter on there, and luckily it hasn't been in the real heavy glitter in there. It snuck through. Things will sneak through. You will end up having some snafus once in a while, in the best process in the world. Will mess up and you get that. So once in a while, I've had a couple of real thin things get stuck in the scanner that I didn't catch, but it's me. I didn't catch it. But I don't go through each card before I put it in the scanner. I check it the best I can. I'm not going to spend 2 hours looking through a stack of cards. I'll just thumb through them real quick and see if I catch anything. And then the scanner will tell me. But I've been pretty lucky. Most of the cards I buy don't have that. But yes, there's two concerns, the scanner and the card. You don't want to damage that. Thanks, Cynthia, and welcome. The last one, I've been around. This stuff has been here forever. I have a couple postcards I found in my inventory that are in my box, they said, but no longer listed. Why does eBay take things down without letting us know? Have you had this happen? I've heard it for years. I've never had it happen to me that I've had something listed, not listed in my inventory, in my boxes, even with the toys, and not listed on eBay. It's never happened to me all these years. I can say that, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because a lot of people say they find stuff that's not listed. The only thing I've asked these people over the years is, do you use a phone or a computer, or do you combine the two? So a lot of times they said they do both. The people that don't have the issue like me are computer users. They're only on the computer. They don't use their phone to list. That's one common thing. I'm not saying that's the exact thing, but that's one common thing that we came up with. Kind of speculation. I hate doing that, but it gives me a little data from people telling me that the ones that are not having a problem only use a computer. The other ones do all this stuff on the app and bounce back and forth and stuff like that. The ones that didn't have the problem did not do that. The second thing is, I asked them, do you do the end and relist and all this other stuff? And they said yes. Those are the people that were having the problems. The people that I went back and we talked, I got a group of people I talked to. I said, how many out there have this problem? Do you do end and relist? They said no. So the people that are using a computer and don't do it, they just list on a computer and forget. They don't have things missing, listings dropped on there. So those are two things that kind of show me that could be something. I don't know, but I think I would say 75% of people having this problem is something they've done, is what I would put it to. The other 25%, I just leave it out in smoke. I don't know if eBay took something down. Maybe they took it down because of there's some cards you can't list and they take it down and forgot to send you the email, or you lost the email. But 75% of it, most of the time, the people have done it. They've sold it on another site is another one. Cross-listing, that's another question we ask people. Do you cross-list? Oh yeah, I saw Macari, Poshmark, Hip, and all this stuff. There's an opportunity that you sold it on another site. eBay doesn't know you sold it on another site, and your cross-listing app is sometimes they're supposed to take it down, and it doesn't. You're not doing the due diligence. That's why I don't care for the cross-listing apps, because it takes the human out of it. The checks. Everybody gets too comfortable, and next thing you know, they have all this stuff. So cross-listing can cause that as well. I just don't point my finger at eBay. And is it possible? Absolutely. I hear it all the time. But this is stuff that's been around. Mark, how do you know that some of your postcards are not listed? I don't. But I do spot checks every so often. I have a little red card I put in a box, so I know I did that box. I'll pull 10, 20 cards out of that box, and I'll go check and see. I'll bring my laptop over and see if that's listed. That's listed. I've never found a card in my box that's not listed. Every time I sell a card, it's where it's supposed to be. Once in a while, I'll screw up a number and have to hunt it down, but it's my fault. That's why I said about the 75%. So just don't point fingers at eBay if you don't have a process to check this. And I'm due to go through another 3 boxes, but I remember one time, over a month's period, I took 3 boxes down. And I went through each card in each box to see if it was listed. And it was random boxes, maybe number 1, 10, 12, it's been a few years. Every card that was in those boxes was in the eBay. So I don't have enough information to say if it does or doesn't happen. I would tend to say it does because so many people talk about it, but I think it's a lot of the seller. And once they get that fixed, I think it'll drop off to a point where it's not even noticeable. And cross-listing, you've got to be diligent about that. And all that sell similar stuff like that, that can cause issues too. How do you know when you sell similar 500 items that all 500 went back fine? People say the number is in there, but how? I don't do it, but it can cause issues. Check out New York Postcards. If you got some really cool ones, send them in. Contact SMPostcards.com for show and tell. Has anybody sold a real expensive Statue of Liberty? I still list Statue of Liberties. A lot of them I do. If I remember I have them, I don't. But has anybody ever sold a real expensive Statue of Liberty? If you do, let us know. I would love to know, because that's an iconic landmark, and there's tons of them out there, and I just wonder if there's any major ones. I could probably go out and look, but I just want to know if someone physically did that. Thanks for watching. That's all I got for today. got some more fish. I'm going to have some new stuff in 2025, some other things I've been working on to put at the end, but still got some more fish for you. Bye.